People keep calling me an entrepreneur. They sometimes even ask me to give talks on entrepreneurship. And honestly, it kind of annoys me. The reason it annoys me is because I figure half of the people think I'm this guy. This guy is Martin. He owned a drug company, and overnight he jacked the price up over 5,000% on his customers who were patients suffering from AIDS. So I think that half the people who think of an entrepreneur think of somebody that's just out there to make a buck any way that they can. I figure the other half of the people that call me an entrepreneur think I'm this guy, right? Guy in his dorm room has a big idea, makes some social media so people can share cat photos and make $1 billion, right? And they make movies about guys like Mark. But I don't really feel like that guy either. So I think we have to redeem what it means to be an entrepreneur. I think we have to change what it means, or else I can't be an entrepreneur. So let's go back to the dictionary definition. That seems like that'd be a good place to start. So an entrepreneur is a person who organizes and operates a business or businesses, taking on, I think this is the key part here, greater than normal financial risks in order to do so. But that seems a pretty minimal, pretty bare bones definition of entrepreneurship. So to redeem it, I think we need a little bit more. I think we can redeem it, but if we had more entrepreneurs that thought like redeemers. So the dictionary definition of redeem is to compensate for the faults or bad aspects of something. And it's a verb. It means action, right? And so I want to tell you a little bit about my story, because if I'm not Martin and I'm not Mark, and I don't really think of myself as an entrepreneur, then who am I? Well, this isn't me either. This is my dad being held by my grandpa on the small farm that I grew up on. I grew up on the farm, played basketball. They do make movies about guys like me. It's a totally different type of movie. But I left that farm because I saw how hard my dad and my grandpa worked. And I'm like, I've got to do something different with my career. So I came to college and studied engineering for a little while. And found out I just spend all my time playing around on my computer and reading all these stories about Silicon Valley's, growing so quickly, and salaries are huge, and like, okay, great. I like computers. I like software. I could do that. So I studied that, and the only problem was I graduated a year after the dot-com bubble burst. So there were some jobs available, but nothing that really excited me. And I was telling this to one of my professors one day, and said, "Well, I really got some of my own ideas. I think I want to start a software company one day, but I'm going to just take whatever job I can find in this down economy, and I'll work for 5 years and save up as much money as I can." And I got some really good advice from him. He said, "Michael, starting a business is a good way to be poor, almost as poor as a college student. So now is a good time to start that business. You know what? I'll help you. Let's do this." So when you start a business, you look around at what do you have? What do you know how to do? What problems can you solve? And I said, I grew up playing basketball, so I was like, well, and I know software. Maybe we could take this stat sheet that high school basketball coaches have been using for years, and we could turn it into some software, make it easier for them to do their jobs. And we did that. Got about 300 teams to use it, even a semi-pro league, and made some pretty good software, but didn't really have an impact in the world. Honestly, we weren't really solving that big of a problem, and we didn't have a way to help that many number of people. So in the course of about that same time, we met some people that were running the elections locally. And like, there's a bigger problem. Our government, our democracy, even just running an election efficiently for the taxpayers. So when you register to vote, so that's a problem we could tackle, right, maybe? So when you register to vote, your name goes on a list. And when you show up to vote, they basically check you off that list. And that's called a poll book. So this is an example of a poll book from the 1800s. There's kind of two jokes here. There's one joke is that, this is from a time when we had rope makers, but we also had bell hangers and cow keepers. The other thing that's a joke that's kind of a sad joke is this is basically still the way that we vote today, which means that we end up with a lot of people standing in lines, or people get frustrated and they don't vote. So we were able to work with the elected officials and make some software to make the voting process easier for folks here locally. But we still had the problem. We still had a bad aspect to the situation because we didn't understand how government worked. We didn't understand how to sell to those kinds of people. We had a good solution, but we couldn't get it distributed to them. So we had to change our company. So we changed our company to be software service providers. So now we partner up with other people that don't know technology, that don't know how to write code, but do know a market. They know how to help people. They know how to get goods and services to people, but they need software to help that. So that's been a lot of fun as our business has grown and changed over the years. One problem, though, that we had when we were a young company was we just worked out of our spare bedrooms and coffee shops. And it was very lonely and isolating. We didn't have a good place to meet clients, do a presentation, or just have a place to sit and think and work amongst other like-minded individuals. About this same time, we met some folks that had this old rundown garage in Lafayette. So I got a few friends together, and we started to think and dream of what this place could be. What could this place hold? And I kept going back to, man, I really just wish we had had an office to work in when we were just getting started. And more importantly, I wish we had had a community. And so that's what became MatchBOX Coworking Studio. And this is on the opening day of MatchBOX. And I really like this photo because it shows we redeemed the building, this garage that was falling down in disrepair. We fixed it up. We put lights on, we put a whole new roof on, and we did it in a way that honored the heritage of the building. But I'm even more excited about the people, because it redeemed a community of people that were spread out, young entrepreneurs, older entrepreneurs that were lonely and isolated and not coming together in community. And we were able to bring those folks together. So I think when you think about being a redeemer in your work, you can think about your own career, like I did. You can think about your own business, but you can start to think about your own community. But again, I wanted bigger problems to solve. So these are some orphans in South Africa that I met through my church. Most of them are orphaned because of the AIDS epidemic. Their parents have died from AIDS. So they're in this orphanage in South Africa. And I don't know anything about orphan care. I don't know anything about the AIDS epidemic. I don't really even know much about South Africa. But I know that in this orphanage I found out what I really liked about it was they don't have them in an institutional setting, the kids. They pair them up with a mom and a dad that loves them and cares for them. Like, well, this is great. This is a global problem. There are orphans all over the world. But how can I help in that situation? And I got to know some of them, and they said, Michael, you know about websites and social media and technology, and we'd really like to put a computer lab in here at the school. And I'm like, those are things I can help with. I can help redeem just a small part of the whole bigger orphan care picture by using some of the things that I know that I have at my disposal. And there's one other kind of global problem that I've gotten to be involved with, and that's world food production. We have an increasing number of people on this planet. We have a smaller area in which to produce food for them. So I was able to partner up with one of my closest friends who knows agronomy and he knows farming, and we were able to build a software tool with the help of a lot of other folks that takes seeds, soil, and weather data. And with that tool, it helps farmers make better decisions about how to use less fertilizers, which is good for the environment, it's good for their pocketbook, but keep their yields up so we can keep producing more food for a hungry world. And you know the best part about this was that it took me back to the farm, the place I had left. I got to help guys like my dad and my grandpa. So what I want to leave you with today is I think all of you should think like an entrepreneur, if that means thinking like a redeeming entrepreneur. You have some aspect in your life that you know there's a bad aspect in some part of your life, and you could complain about it, you could whine about it, or you could get to work helping to fix up just some small part of the world. Thank you.